Depending on the landing area, and that's going to vary from drop zone to drop zone, you have a lot of options for extending your downwind leg, extending your base leg, adding an additional base leg if need be, or going slightly further than planned on your actual landing area to get a good safe landing into the wind. Remember, the most important thing is not to land on the mark every time. The most important thing is to land safely every time, and each time learning what you did in order to get you closer to your mark as safe as possible. Now let's talk about what to do if you're a little lower than expected after completing your downwind run. You turn onto your base leg, and instead of being at that planned 400 to 500 feet, you're down around 300 feet. Well, instead of going all the way to your final approach line, you may want to cut the corner just a little bit. In other words, do a slow turn before you approach that final approach. In this way, you can be on final approach and slowly slide into your final approach line at the correct altitude. What you've done is you've cut the corner. You've cut the distance that you would have traveled by making this round turn instead of this square turn that we had normally talked about. Remember, all DZs are going to have a different landing area, and your landing pattern will always shift just a little bit depending on traffic, wind conditions, and the spot that you get out of the aircraft. The main thing to do is always look for traffic, always keep yourself into the wind for landing, and avoid making any low turns. One of the ways to improve your accuracy by flying your landing pattern is to think about what happens on each jump. If you land a little bit further than expected, you may want to shift your landing pattern a bit downwind. If you landed shorter than expected, you may want to shift that landing pattern a bit upwind. Really what you're doing is you're learning how your canopy flies under different wind conditions. But remember, I know a lot of you jumpers are renting gear from the local drop zones. Know that every time you jump a different set of gear, it's going to fly a little bit differently. Even if it's the same type canopy, it'll have slightly different flight characteristics. So make sure you're very careful in planning your landing pattern if you're renting gear, because it's going to react a little bit differently. Make sure you think about the downwind, the base leg, and the final approach, and make sure you have planned on all the things that can happen, all the what ifs, in case you have to shoot long, shoot short, or even land out.